Welcome into the roundtable. I'm Brad Wakai. That is my co-host, Tyson Gentry. We are here previewing the NBA playoffs. And man, it's been a long time coming, Tyson. We've been doing a ton of football stuff for those listening, and we are just getting ready to get into the playoffs this NBA season. Playing games, we didn't really want to touch on those. Our picks have been in our chalkboard, which Tyson will tell you about at the end. We're going to go through the series, give out best and different in these different series for series prices, and if there's any action we like tomorrow as we are recording. The Heat are playing, and the Timberwolves will be playing later as well. So we're not going to have anything on those series. Again, those will all be in our chalkboard. But Tyson, 82 games, man, and now we're finally to the playoffs.
Yeah, and we didn't cover the NBA much this year on the podcast, but if you like the NBA podcast, you got to go download them or click the videos, stuff like that. Something that lets us know that you like them, because the traffic isn't always there. But then my buddies or whoever will text or comment and be like, "Why aren't you guys covering this?" It's like, well, you didn't download, man. I thought nobody wanted to listen. But we're back, man. People love the playoffs. We're big NBA guys. I'm gonna be honest though, man. I've struggled with the NBA all year. It's been a harder year to watch for me than in the past, and I don't really know why. I turned 26, and I think ever since then I'm just like, that's a travel, that's over the back.
Just the old man yelling at the clouds now.
I know, like, it happens quick, man. They don't warn you.
Yeah, but then the playoffs will be. We'll get into like the thick of the playoffs, and Tyson will be texting. Oh, you see this? They'll be right back into the NBA.
Oh, I'm in it. Like, I'm still watching. I just have to hate watch a little bit. I was telling Brad that as a Suns fan, like, for the first 10 years or the last 10 years, right, I get to watch everybody in the league because I don't want to watch Josh Jackson. And now that they're good, I have a new lens on everything. I think that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So let's start with some storylines here as we get into the playoffs. I think the big one here, Tyson, that people have been discussing, whether it's national media or, in the fringe groups and talk, can Kevin Durant be that mercenary, traded midseason, go to your Phoenix Suns and push them to the next level? A couple years ago, they fell just short. Giannis and the Bucks won their first championship. It feels like this team is much better. I know people talk about the bench being weaker. We don't see it. We actually think their bench is a good unit. I think Josh Okogie in that starting lineup is perfect and for what they ask him to do. And I like this Suns team a lot. I really do. And we've given out our future bets in the past, so we're not necessarily going to go through those in this episode. We're just going to more so go micro in terms of the series prices. But if I had to pick one team to win championship, especially at what their price is.
The interesting thing about Phoenix, and a little bit scary, I think, for people like you and me that are holding futures tickets, is we still haven't seen it very much. Like, when we watch it, undefeated, right? I mean, this is it's pretty much perfect, like everything that you could ask for. But we only got to see it 9 times, I think it is, since Kevin Durant got sent over. The bench is fine, dude. The bench is fine. The bench won't lose them, at least in the West. It might hurt them if they make it all the way out to the finals, whether it's Milwaukee or Boston. Somebody like that could give them a little bit of trouble with second unit stuff. But I like the Warriors bench isn't beating them. The Clippers bench, for all the love that we gave them, now that they're dealing with injuries, like that stuff I'm not super worried about. It's playing together 9 times in the regular season, kind of playing with minute restrictions with Kevin Durant to start, and then he rolls his ankle again, and then he's out, and we don't really know what Monty Williams is going to do, because he is fairly up and down when it comes to rotations. Like, if you play well, you get to play 30 minutes, and if you play bad, you don't get to play for 3 weeks. That's how Monty runs the ship over there. If there's a mercenary to ever play basketball, it's Kevin Durant. So to say Kevin Durant's going to be the reason the Suns don't win the title is ridiculous to me. The reason the Suns won't win the title, if they don't win the title, is Chris Paul's age showing, DeAndre Ayton not being engaged, stuff like that. But Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are fine. They're going to be fine. If you're worried about them, you're focusing on the completely wrong things.
Yeah, and when you have those top-level talented players like Booker and KD on the same team, the margin for error is much bigger compared when you look at a team like the Kings. Just a young group, they're going to have to play perfect virtually every single night. And we've seen that with the Warriors. When you have Klay Thompson, you have Steph Curry, your margin for error is much bigger across a 7-game series than not. And Tyson, I can't let this Phoenix Suns be the only storyline here. Let's talk about our Sixers, or my Sixers, and your boy Joel Embiid, my boy Joel Embiid. it's kind of coming to the thing. We all love him. We all think he's dominant. We all think he's great. The playoff success has not been there for the 76ers since Joel Embiid has showed up. Now, they were a crazy shot from Kawhi Leonard away from advancing to a championship. And ultimately, they haven't been close since. Like the Ben Simmons drama, that's kind of derailed that team a bit for a year and a half. But now James Harden's in here. James Harden has come out and said he is much more physically ready for the playoffs this season. Again, that's a believe it. You got to see it to believe it type of deal with James Harden at this point. And obviously, we know the shortcomings of Doc Rivers. It does feel like something is different about this Sixers team. It's like they're all matured. It's like that Joel Embiid's like in his true prime and ready to take on everybody in the playoffs.
Well, I think that's the difference. Is the Ben Simmons thing kind of led to obviously getting James Harden, but the real story was like Joel Embiid being like, "Fuck everybody. This is my team. I'm the best player in the NBA. Like I don't care who you bring in. You go get LeBron. I'm the best player on the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah,
you got to do it in the playoffs, man." And it's a little bit. I go back and forth with it because is it unfair to get on this guy sometimes? Because when you score 40 and have 12, right, and the team loses. It's not like I can't be mad at you. But when you lose to the Atlanta Hawks, I don't care if you had 40 and 12. They didn't have anybody that could guard you anyways. That should be 40 and 12 7 times across the series instead of like JoJo picking up 3 cheap fouls in the first quarter, looking incredibly tired coming out of halftime. Like, what were you doing for 15 minutes, big boy? The one thing about Joel Embiid, and this is what I said to you, and I think I've said it on the show before too, the second he stops eating hamburgers and watching anime before the games and focusing on getting cool Instagram pictures is when the league is in real trouble. And when's the last time you saw Joel Embiid doing that dumb shit in between or right before a game? Doesn't do it anymore, man. JoJo is locked in. And honestly, like, I love Giannis. I think the Celtics are great. Good luck. Good luck with this guy.
Yeah, and that brings it to kind of like the last big storyline. I feel like maybe not the last big one, but I think it's very prevalent. You know, can Giannis be an all-time great and get another championship? Because that will put him at 2. It's a lot different when you win multiple championships. Just have the one name, especially when you're the best player. They are the favorites to win the championship. This is a really good Bucks team. Tyson, I'm not sure if this is a great, but you know, Chris Middleton still dealing with his injuries. Drew Holiday, since he's put on a Bucks uniform, has been fantastic for him. But I still think there are questions in my head about the Milwaukee Bucks. And I don't know why. It feels like that's unfair just because of how dominant they've been, how good Giannis is. But I don't know, man. I feel like they're getting looked at as like this juggernaut team, and I think they could run into some trouble.
Well, we gave them a little bit of a pass early in the season, like, oh, this team's a chameleon, right? They could win no matter how many different, right? They're San Diego State or Florida Atlantic or whatever. It was like whatever kind of game you want to play, these guys, they'll play it. It's not really been the case for the last month and a half or whatever. But during that stretch, there were moments like when they put 160 on Indiana or whatever it was. It was like, oh, yeah, that's that team. And so are they the head and shoulders favorite like everyone wants to make them out to be? I don't think so, personally. But they have probably the second most physically intimidating player and the most dominant. Like, I love Joel Embiid, but nobody does what Giannis does the way Giannis does it. And really, it's going to come down to which defense from the Bucks are we getting? Are we getting the team that only lets you score 80? Because, like, there's nobody that's going to beat them. But then on the flip side of that, like you go to San Antonio on a random Tuesday and half your team's not locked in. If you remember the year they won the title, it was like, oh, Bucks minus 12.5. They're smashing that number. Now you're a little nervous because you don't know who's going to show up. I think personally that Giannis cares a lot more about legacy and is outward with it in a positive way compared to some of these other guys who are like, oh, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't need the awards, whatever. Giannis is just like, hey, man, I want to be the best player like I can be, and that starts with accolades. So give me the MVPs, give me the rings, give me the finals MVPs. And he's pretty well set up to get one. Injuries aside, all that other stuff aside, I think the body of work still probably makes it seem like they should be the favorite, but the love they're getting is a little bit people falling head over heels in love with them is a little interesting.
100%. Okay, let's dive into the Eastern Conference then. And the Milwaukee Bucks are your number 1 seed in the East. They're going to have home court advantage throughout these series for as long as they advance. The number 2 seed, the Boston Celtics, they started off extremely hot, kind of cooled off a bit. Milwaukee caught them and passed them. The Sixers are the 3 seed. The Cleveland Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell, the 4 seed. The New York Knickerbockers, the 5 seed. Brooklyn Nets, the 6 seed. Now, since they traded Kyrie and KD, it hasn't been the same team, obviously, but they still did enough early to get into the playoffs. The Atlanta Hawks, by way of the play-in win against the Heat, are the 7 seed. Then right now the Heat are battling with the Bulls for that 8 seed to play Milwaukee. So we're going to focus on the series that are already intact here. And let's start with the Knicks-Cavs. Jalen Brunson coming over from the Mavericks, I feel like has completely changed this offense, has completely changed this team. Before, it was the Julius Randle show. He rolled his ankle. I think that's going to be a storyline throughout. And obviously, if the series is long, goes 6-7 games, that's going to be a much more prominent storyline about his health, what his status is, and things like that. Jalen Brunson has cooked the Cavaliers. Cavaliers have been a great defensive team this season. I'm curious your thoughts on this. I mean, when you look at it, the Cavs went 1-3 against the Knicks this season, Tyson. Before we kind of get into the pricing, what are you looking forward to in this?
Well, one thing I'm really looking forward to, man, we get playoff Donovan Mitchell. That's a special player when Donovan Mitchell gets in the playoffs. I'm also really excited for the Cavaliers as a whole because, like, this is a lot of these guys, it'll be their coming out party where we haven't thought about them since they got drafted or since, they ripped college basketball up or whatever the case may be. Like, the Cavs have some guys I think that are going to put themselves into not quite household names, but hoophead, like, people that don't quite know about them are going to find out pretty quick. And then the Knicks, I'm really interested. Are they a budget version of the Memphis Grizzlies? Like, not the style of play, but like the attitude and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on, you got to accomplish something. Or is this going to be like the true takeoff time? Like, they win more than one series because, we don't know how long TikTok's going to be around, but it's a better place when the Knicks are winning, man. I tell you that much.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's take a look at these prices here. The Cleveland Cavaliers are minus 205 to win in advance. The series spread, so that's 1.5 games. Juice towards the Knicks at minus 128. So for the Cavaliers to cover the minus 1.5 games, obviously they would have to win in 5. Or win in 6. I'm sorry. They'd have to win 4-2. If it goes 7 games, the Knicks are going to cover this number. And obviously if the Knicks win, they'll cover that number. Minus 205, that seems like the safer play here, Tyson. I'm not quite sure if I'm interested in laying that, but I do think the Cavaliers are a better team than the Knicks, although their regular season performances haven't necessarily there anything betting-wise that you're looking to do here.
I think the minus 1.5 on the Cleveland side is interesting. I think you could really talk yourself into a 4-2 series. But again, and I'll say it, all playoffs long, I'm not huge into the pre-series markets. I kind of like more once things get rolling and playing game to game. It's really, really hard to tell. Like, the NBA playoffs are unique in the fact that, like, you need superstars, but then which one of your guys that, your 6th man or your 8th man, which one of these guys that just kind of has 9 minutes in the rotation during the regular season becomes an 18-minute-a-game guy for a good reason, right? And sometimes, like in Miami, when Max Strus all of a sudden gets to play a bunch, it's not great for the team. Like, it doesn't work out, but the coach doesn't see it that way. Are we going to run into things like that? I think that the Cavaliers are going to win this series. I'm more enticed on them to win 4-2. But first round of the NBA playoffs, man, you got to play it by ear. You can't just be shooting from the hip.
Yeah, and if you want, so 4-2, or this is the exact order. I'm sorry, let me pull this up. Here you go, 4-2. So if you like the Cavs to win 4-2, that's plus 490. So if you want to call your shot on that, that's much more. If you can see this being a 6-game series, plus 490, Cavs are probably going to do it. Or if you just think the Cavs are going to win, it's going to be a long one, plus 350. Now, obviously, the series price is regarding the game handicap. That's safer in case they just absolutely dismantle the Knicks. Tyson and I saying we don't necessarily expect that to happen. I'm gonna pass on this, although I definitely think that the Cavaliers are gonna advance. But there's just nothing like the 205. I don't want to lay that, and I don't want to do anything with the game prices as well. But I will say, in terms of the Cavaliers, I'm excited to see what this group can do. It felt like they wanted to get Donovan Mitchell over because they felt like their young core was ready to take next. Evan Mobley has been awesome in his second season. Jarrett Allen really flourishing since he's come over from Brooklyn. And another guy that came over from Brooklyn, he's that guy you're talking about, Tyson. We're off the bench. He's been successful for them, and he's going to have to play big minutes in this one, I think. So I want to see if this Cavaliers team, with this iteration and going and getting your superstar and Donovan Mitchell, if that actually can push them to the next level. This will be a good series for them, a good test as they face the New York Knicks.
What are the chances Donovan Mitchell throws 50 down in the Garden?
It's high, I think.
I think he does it.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Okay, let's move on to the next series, the Sixers and the Nets. This, to me, I see the Sixers advancing, and I see it advancing quickly. The Nets don't have a matchup for Joel Embiid. Like, I love Nick Claxton, but he's going to be dominated physically by Embiid, and if he gets in foul trouble, they're hard pressed to stop the machine there. But I think the question comes with the Sixers, the James Harden and Doc Rivers angle, man. Like, are they going to loaf around? Are they going to just be inept at times? It's just frustrating to watch if you're a Sixers fan, how this team has performed in the playoffs the past few years. So that's always concerns me, but I just think the matchup is too good. I expect the Sixers to advance in this one quickly.
It's going to be, you never want to say walk in the park, but this is about as close as it gets. I mean, we were going to do kind of a tier list of these playoff teams, and I think the Nets would fall under a happy to be here style tier. Like, this isn't where they expected to be when they blew up Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving a couple months ago. Like, it hasn't even been that long. They didn't think Mikal Bridges was going to walk in that door and start throwing 40 points on everybody. Like, that's all really good, and it's fun, and they're growing. But when you only have wings and you're playing against, like, a physical presence like Joel Embiid, if this isn't a 30-12, 30-14 series for Joel Embiid, he messed up. He didn't play as good as he should have, because this should be JoJo is 15 in the first half, 15 in the second half, and you're cruising, and he's not playing fourth quarters. That's the angle that I'm looking at if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, is like, hey, we got to stop playing with our food, because every time we do, it bites us in the ass. Like, let's get these guys out of here quick, show the rest of the league that we can win a series when we're up 2 games or 3 games, and keep it moving, man. And I think Harden might have a little something for those boys. I think they might owe him one.
And let's take a look at the series price here. The Sixers are just a massive -1,000 favorite. The Nets plus 660 if you like them to win here at FanDuel. Now, the series spread, or the game spread here, is interesting. Sixers -2.5, -162, massively juiced. And the Nets plus 2.5 at plus money. That's extremely interesting. Sixers got to win in 4 games or 5 if they want to cover that. And I think that could be an angle to look at here, Tyson. I think I'm going to lay it. I'm going to give out my first official pick. I'm going to take the Sixers -2.5 on the game price in this series.
You're so lame, dude. I'm breaking up the broom. Give me Sixers 4-0. I think this is going to be quick. It can't not be, because if it's not, then, like, I already know going to the next round. Like, I don't want to play Philadelphia. This to me this should be 4-0. In all actuality, in all honesty, I love what the Nets are doing. I just, like, can't happen year over year over year over year. You got to get somebody out of here, man.
And let's see what that is. Plus 270 if you like the Sixers to sweep like Tyson. If you like them to cover, plus 175 if you want to go 4-1 on the exact line there. Plus 410 if you think the Sixers get it done in 6 games and don't cover that game spread. That's an interesting angle to look at. But I just think it's just this is too many mismatches for the Sixers, man. Like, I think that's going to be the problem that the Nets run into repeatedly. The only thing that slows down the Sixers is themselves, and if they get in their own way. Does James Harden come in sluggish? Is Tyrese Maxey not playing well? And like you said, the biggest thing, does Joel Embiid show up and want to dominate? Because he has to if they want to get out of this series quickly. And let's not forget, last year he broke his face in some meaningless part of the game, and that kind of screwed everything up for the Sixers. I don't think they want to mess around and deal with something like that. I think they want to get out of Brooklyn quickly.
Can anybody on the Nets even reach high enough to hit him in the head?
Claxton's got some long arms.
Yeah, he's got long arms. Might have to jump.
All right.
They'll get him.
Yeah. Here's the last one here that we're going to break down in the East. We have the Celtics and the Hawks. And if you thought The last series price was huge. Wait till you take a look at this one. But the Hawks are interesting, Tyson. They always are because they're so talented across the board.
I hate
Like
him.
Trae Young, people don't like him. They're extremely talented, man. I mean, DeJounte Murray getting him, we thought that would catapult them during the regular season into much more consistent form. They had fired their head coach, Nate McMillan. They brought in my guy, the head coach, oh my God, Quinn Snyder, who used to be the Jazz coach, and he's a major upgrade over McMillan. So on paper, this is a good team, and they showed up and were impressive against the Heat, man. They just kicked their ass, and I was super impressed by them. Is it a case with the Hawks where, okay, it's the playoffs, we're focused now, we can finally put all this talent there, or is it just all smoke and mirrors with that team?
Is it an accomplishment to beat the Heat in the playoffs? Are we still doing this?
We are.
Still,
you know how people are.
Are we still doing this with the Miami Heat that they showed up and beat an average Miami Heat team, and now we think like they have a chance against the Celtics? I don't hate Trae Young. I don't hate DeJounte Murray. I don't hate John Collins. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate Clint Capella. I actually love Clint Capella. This team as a whole is disgusting to watch. They are like the epitome of that kid in high school who like had everything going for him and just didn't give a shit. That's the Atlanta Hawks year over year, man. And they're fun and they're splashy and they're sexy and they do things that look really cool on your social media pages and all that stuff. Boston does the dirty work. Atlanta will not. They refuse to do the dirty work. When they got DeJounte Murray, we were like, okay, they got somebody that's going to go for loose balls, whip everybody into shape. He comes from a winning organization. Didn't really see it. They didn't feel the need to, because this is a team that since they made one kind of flukish Eastern Conference Finals, that now this is like, that's where they belong. And so the rest of it doesn't really matter. Well, guess what? It does, because now you played your way into going against a machine in the Boston Celtics. And granted, the NBA caught up to Boston as the season went on a little bit. Like, they started out so hot, it was like, oh shit, man.
Right.
the Celtics are going 82-0. They're sweeping the playoffs. It doesn't matter. And they've come back to earth pretty significantly. Top end talent, Boston. Bench, Boston. Coaching matchup is closer now, but you know, I like Missoula. And that
You like him over Quinn Snyder?
Look, dude, what did Quinn win?
I mean, what's this guy won? He's a rook.
It's his first try.
Yeah, I mean, Rudy Gobert was Quinn Snyder's second best player, and I know you hate Rudy.
I do hate Rudy, but I mean, Quinn Snyder looks like the coke dealer on every back alley bar you've ever been to. I'm rocking with the Celtics here, and no disrespect to Quinn Snyder's, man, he's a good coach, but I think the Celtics have the advantage pretty much everywhere, and they're supposed to be here. They're pissed that they're not sitting in the one spot. Let's send a little bit of a message. We got a soft team coming in here, and we want to play physical and show the rest of the East, especially Milwaukee, that like, hey man, we're the bullies here. And I think Atlanta is a lamb to the slaughter.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if the Hawks want to accept that challenge of the physicality. They're going to have to if they want to be in this series. And let's take a look at it here, Tyson. We have the Celtics as the minus 1,200 favorites, with the Hawks the plus 750 underdogs. Again, series spread minus 2.5 for the Celtics. That's a minus 162. Plus 2.5 for the Hawks is plus 132. Very interesting. Similar to what we're talking about regarding the Sixers net series. The Hawks were 0-3 against the Celtics this season. They were blasted by them a good majority of the time too. It's tough, man. It is tough because yes, this Celtics team is really good, and I agree with you. They are a better team than the Hawks. They just meshed better. That 2.5 at plus 132 is extremely enticing. I just can't trust the Hawks, but I'm interested in that in a weird way.
You know what's funny is as soon as I saw that earlier, I thought the same thing. I hate the Hawks, and I was like, "Damn, Trae Young could get 40 one of these nights." There's one, and then we just need Clint Capella to have 27 rebounds in another game, and like we're good. Yeah, that's a really strong number at plus 132. I just like this might be a gentleman's sweep kind of situation. I think Boston has their feet up while they wait to find out who they play in round 2 here.
Yeah, and that's right. And we know Boston, they can move people out of a series quickly, man. Like Tatum gets hot, Brown gets hot. If one of or the other has an off night, the other's there to pick them up. They are a tough team to beat. And let's take a look at it here. Like if you like the Boston Celtics to sweep, plus 260 is the number there. Celtics to win, or the Hawks to win one game and Celtics win 4-1 in the series, plus 165. So that's kind of tipping you a little bit like, hey, the Hawks have a chance in one game, which I think, Tyson, is interesting, because if the Hawks win one, all you need is another win from the Hawks and you cash that plus money on 2.5 games. That's extremely interesting. But I'm not going to play anything in this one. Like you said, I'm going to take this as a game-to-game approach for me. And I'm curious to see how on Saturday the Hawks come out and play. That's going to be the tone setter. Like if they go into Boston with the mindset like we're going to grind through this series, they may have a shot at least to win a few games. I don't think they're going to win in the series, but that's something that I'm paying attention to majorly.
Well, it's a problem when your fifth offensive option in Capella is like the guy that you're not worried about showing up for the series. Like you need 1, 2, 3, 4 of the shot creators and the shot makers to be the ones to show up. And instead, we're like, yeah, Capella's going to get 10 rebounds a game, 12 rebounds a game. We're not worried about that. It's like in back in the day with the Oklahoma City Thunder, it was like, okay, Ibaka's going to be here. He's going to get 8 and 8 and 3 blocks. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen with the rest of the team. And I didn't like doing that when I was 12, so I'm not going to do it now that I've seen a thing or two.
100%. Okay, that's going to do it for the East. Also, actually, to wrap up, Tyson took a little shot at Max Strus. He's actually, of course, today is the day. He's like red hot in the first half. He's got like 6 threes in the first half, which is just, it's just coincidence after coincidence.
I was talking about last year, obviously.
Last year, exactly. And we are a little, we do have a little animosity towards Max Strus because Tyson was cashed like a huge random same game parlay, and he was like 0 for 9.
He's got 23 right now. Look at the boy. Good for him.
So the Western Conference, I think, is interesting because it looked like the Nuggets were like the juggernaut early in the season, similar to the Celtics, right? They got off to a great start. They kind of caught up to them on the West. They really caught up to them, and enough to the point where you had teams like buying in, like, this is a wide open conference. The Suns, we're going to go get Kevin Durant. The Mavericks, we're going to go get Kyrie Irving, thinking that was going to push them over the top. Now, they ultimately missed the playoffs, but that was the mindset for teams in the West. The Lakers were aggressive at the wanted to completely reshape their team. The Clippers, they went and got Russell Westbrook. I don't know how open this conference really is. Like, I think that was a mindset during the season. They're like, okay, maybe if the Nuggets kind of stumble a bit, we know they don't have a lot of success in the playoffs recently. And, maybe if it doesn't work with the Suns, yada, yada. I don't know how open this thing is anymore, Tyson. Like, what's your general thought on where we are in the West?
This is like the most unique playoff scenario I think you could have, where like nobody really trusts the 1 seed, right? Nobody really trusts Denver. Nobody really trusts Memphis. Nobody trusts the Kings, right? So then we get to 4 in Phoenix, and people are like, okay, I could see that. The Clippers, we don't know, is Paul George play? Can he play? Like, what's that going to look like if they're able to go deep into the playoffs? Everybody loves the Warriors, right? Defending champions. And then the Lakers. They're sitting there playing much better basketball, and we all are still kind of looking at it like, I mean, that's LeBron James. That's Anthony Davis. Like they could beat anybody on any given night, right? I've never really seen a conference finish at the end of the year where it's like, yeah, the 1, 2, and 3 seeds played really well in the playoffs, but like, can they, or in the regular season, but can they do it in the playoffs? And I'm kind of leaning towards like, no, to be honest with you. I don't think Denver's built for the playoffs. I think this is the same kind of style that they've played the last couple of years, where they've been early exits relative to their seed. I just think Memphis is too emotional. I have had that opinion for quite a while, and I'm not backing off that. And then Sacramento, man, like, great season for them. Great season. If Sacramento beats the Warriors in the first round, people are going to be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So it's one of those years, man.
I completely agree with that. It's a fun story. The Kings getting the 3 seed. Shout out Mike Brown. Awesome job this year. They're running into a buzzsaw, I think, against the Warriors, which we'll break down. And then the Lakers. I'm hearing people are talking about Western Conference 5 or Western Conference. Are we not watching the same Lakers team? That team sucks. Like, and I posted a video after they barely beat the Wolves, because the Wolves just like completely fell apart down the stretch in the play-in game. Like the Lakers are that team's making a run, and people are coming at me. I'm just like, guys, they're not good. Like Anthony Davis is one turned ankle away from being out of the series, and it's old LeBron and D'Angelo Russell to carry this team. I'm not putting any stock in the Lakers. I'm sorry. I'm not buying into it. So that eliminates them. I think Memphis, which we'll touch on, I agree with you. It's just too soon for them still. Like when you have the Warriors, when you have the Suns, the Nuggets, like they've been in the playoffs. They've been grinding. It's just too soon for the Grizzlies. So I'm really looking at just 3 teams who can actually win the West.
Yeah, and it really sucks on Memphis. Like, 2 years ago was like, okay, this team's coming. A year ago, it was like, Jesus, shut up, guys.
You're
And then
right.
this year, they just didn't. They don't get it, man. They don't
No.
understand. At least from an outsider's perspective, like they don't have the makeup, the mentality, or the DNA to win. And it's fun to talk shit. It's fun to get the technicals and get in everybody's head, But when Dylan Brooks is fighting Draymond, and Steph has 40, pick new battles. Pick something out. Like what you're doing doesn't work. You look stupid.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, let's jump in here. Suns, Clippers, your Suns. Like you said, when Durant plays, they're undefeated. So that's something to keep in mind here with the Suns team. Their high-end talent, I don't think, is matched by anybody else in this league, Bucks included. Anybody else you want to throw at them included. The Clippers, without Paul George, how do they look? How does Russell Westbrook perform? Because he's going to have to be a big performer for the Clippers now without Paul George. They have a lot of pieces, I think, that match up well with the Suns. Like this could be a lot of like matchups without a ton of mismatches out there. The Clippers are athletic at the big spot. I think they'll be able to throw bodies at DeAndre Ayton, be able to frustrate them. They have wings that I think can compete with Booker and Kevin Durant. So when you're analyzing it here, Tyson, what are you looking for?
Well, I might be a little biased, and I probably am, but to me, the 2 players in the NBA that Ty Lue deals the worst with is Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And everybody deals poorly with those 2 because they're really, really good players. But they are going to get 5 points above their season average when they play a Ty Lue coach team, and that's just the way that things have shaken out. In the last 5 years, basically since after he won the title in Cleveland, right? I mean, Booker had a 40-point triple-double with no Chris Paul in the Western Conference Finals when the Clippers should have grabbed hold of that thing and ran to the NBA championship. Couldn't do it. Couldn't stop him, right? And now this is I want to say that Ayton is a better player than Zubac, and he's going to dominate him in the series. I don't know that. I think the Raptor and the VORP and all whatever stats that you want to throw out show how good he is, right? And then it comes time to play the game. And whatever stats he ends up with, what are we watching? Because I don't see this guy in the same light. I think that a lot of these analytics nerds do. I just think, like you said, man, Phoenix is just at the top. If they're healthy, it's championship or bust. And that's where the Clippers thought they were going to be 3 years ago. And that's where they've been ever since. And they're just kind of stuck there, man. Like the depth is great, and it's super cool to have all those guys that can play. Only 8 of them or 9 of them are getting significant burn now. So cut the bench down, pick the right guys, and then hope that the dudes that you have that have played 25 games over the last year are ready to play in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's take a look at the series price here. Suns minus 500 to advance. The Clippers plus 385 to advance. The game spread, Suns minus 2.5 plus 108. Clippers plus 2.5 minus 132, which is extremely interesting and brings me to my first bet and my second bet of the show. First bet out west, Clippers plus 2.5 games on the series spread. I think this is a 6-game series. I think the Suns win in 6. They're still going to kind of figure out and work Kevin Durant back in. I think there's a game that Kawhi Leonard just wins on his own, and then I think there could be another game that the Clippers just get extremely hot and outplay the Suns while the Suns are shooting badly. And so I'm going to take the plus 2.5 games here with the Clips.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet. I'm tailing you on that one. I think Phoenix wins the series, but like you said, man, sometimes they just don't make shots. And that's going to be a bigger deal later in the playoffs as pressure mounts and things get tighter. But it's first round Kevin Durant, man. They're going to win the series. I'm pretty sure of that. I'd rather, take this bet with the Clippers winning a couple games than Phoenix straight up at minus 500.
And I completely forgot to mention here, go through it. Like, so the Nuggets are the 1 seed, the Grizzlies are the 2 seed. For anybody that didn't know, and then we already said the Kings are the 3 seed. Phoenix and the Clippers, they're the 4-5 matchup. For those out there, then your Golden State Warriors are the 6 seed, which is just so crazy to think about and say. The 7 seed are the Lakers by beating the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are the 7 seed. They're going to be playing the Grizzlies in the first round. And then your matchup for the 8 seed tonight, the Timberwolves versus the Thunder, who would then play the Nuggets. Let's move into this. Grizzlies-Lakers. I think this is going to be a fun series. I know what people are saying right now about the Lakers, and I gave my soliloquy on it. I'm not going to go through that. I'm going to look more so about the Grizz and where I think they can attack the Lakers here, and that's just with sheer pace. I know the Lakers have started to improve running up and down the court from when they were earlier in the season. I don't know if you want to run with the Grizz. I really don't, because that's where they're at their best, because their half-court offense is really yet to take the next level. I think that's one of the reasons why they can't win a championship in the current iteration. But if you let them get up and down and get easy shots and get in that flow of things, they can hit some shots in the half court and break you down that way. I think Tyus Jones coming off the bench, he runs that second unit, which has been an incredible upgrade from what the Grizzlies have been a couple years ago. And I just don't see it with this Lakers team, man. I just really don't. Tyson, I don't know if you feel the same or if you're a little bit more bullish on the Lakers. And I know you don't like the Grizzlies either. So what's your thoughts on this?
I think I'm a little bit more bullish on the Lakers than you are. I mean, Memphis is better than them. Memphis has proven to be better than them for the last couple seasons. Memphis has, maybe I'm trying to be careful with the way I word this, but like 1, 2, 3 of the top 3 players in the series. Like the Grizzlies only have one of those, and where you want to slot him in at can be 1, 2, or 3, really, depending on how you feel about John Morant. I'm going to play this one on a game by game basis, Brad, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I think that the Lakers kind of have this unique thing going on where they're going to score in the half court when things get tight in the fourth quarter. Like they're going to find a way. LeBron's going to find a way to get to the rim and find somebody open. And those guys have proven over the last month that they're going to hit those shots. Grizzlies have to keep their mouth shut, because the one thing that we know, and you as the biggest hater in the world can attest, what happens when you start talking to LeBron James, especially in a high pressure, high leverage situation like this, like calling him too small, all that stuff. That's one thing. I don't care about that. But when you're chest to chest with somebody, the dude's getting 40. That's what he does to everybody, whether he's 38 or 18. That's just what he's done. And so to provoke the animal, because to be honest with you, Brad, I don't know how badly he says he wants to win again. I don't know if that's like I have to win one, like I have to do this, or if that's like sounds good to the media. I'm gonna throw that on my Instagram,
Right?
Like live, laugh, love, all the emojis, all that stuff. But if you poke the bear enough, the Lakers have the talent to win this series. They have to be perfect, and the Grizzlies don't. And I think that's the big difference.
I agree with that, man. I think the Lakers do have to be. They do have talent. Obviously, when you have LeBron and Anthony Davis, you got talent, right? Like those are 2 elite players, and LeBron's one of the best players to ever play the game, and Anthony Davis is was a generational talent. I think the injuries kind of derailed that, but we forget how good he is sometimes. It's just the switch that doesn't always get flipped with Anthony Davis. That's what drives everybody crazy because of how talented he is. It may get flipped in this series because of what you said. The Grizzlies are talking. The Grizzlies are going to be running their mouth, and that may just wake them up a little bit. Let's take a look at the prices here. The Grizzlies are minus 143 to advance. The Lakers plus 120 to advance. Series spread, Grizzlies minus 1.5 on the games, plus 172. Lakers minus 215 at plus 1.5. So the books are telling you they think this is a 7-game series. Grizzlies advancing. This is my favorite bet. Grizzlies to advance minus 142. This is my best bet of this show. If this doesn't hit, I'm going to be, going to have to eat my words a lot, but that's fine. Like I'm very confident. I think the Grizzlies have the ability to advance past the Lakers here, especially with home court advantage. I know they are 1-2 against the Lakers this season, but that honestly doesn't concern me too much. Different Lakers team here and there, different Grizzlies, lineups mashed up. they're healthy besides Steven Adams for like the first time all season. And Steven Adams hasn't been playing for a while. So they know how to play without him. It's not like he just went down a couple weeks ago. So I like the Grizzlies to advance here. Minus 142 is my best bet.
Yeah, and this is not the NCAA tournament, right? This isn't like somebody coming out of the first four always makes it to the Sweet 16. Like, you got to watch out for whoever wins the play-in. The Grizzlies are the 2 seed in the West, dude. What are we talking about? This is stupid. Like, play them at minus 142. Play them at minus 1.5 for the series spread at what is that? Plus 178.
Yeah.
Like, those are – you never get free money from the books. But sometimes the public gives you a little bit of it's not free. You got to work for it a little bit, but it's like, you fill out a survey, you get $5. It's one of those deals. Like the Grizzlies are better than them. Like, this is, what are we talking about?
Yeah, it's extremely interesting. It's extremely interesting, that's for sure. Okay, we're both on the Grizzlies. Now let's move into this one. Now we have the Kings Warriors, and like you said, the Grizzlies are the 2 seed. We're priced that way. The Golden State Warriors are the 6 seed. The Kings are the 3 seed, and the Warriors are favored to win, which we'll take a look at. The Warriors have been horrible on the road. They're not going to have home court advantage throughout this unless the Lakers beat, unless the Lakers beat the Kings. Or, I'm sorry, unless the Lakers beat the Grizzlies and the Warriors play the Lakers, then they'll have home court advantage. I think they could be in a little bit of trouble. Not necessarily in this round, but I think going forward, is it a more so of a bunch of veterans who just kind of pack it in? These young guys, they're not really quite sure how to play. Maybe. But being so bad on the road is extremely concerning to me. And I don't think you can just flip the switch like the Warriors think they're going to do here and just start running through a Western Conference.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. I mean, it just doesn't. It'd be nice if it did for Golden State, because then, like, the regular season wouldn't matter. But we see over and over again that it matters. This doesn't feel like when Phoenix had Chris Paul when they made their finals run and they played the Lakers coming off of a championship. Doesn't feel like that series, because that, to me, felt like Phoenix is just better, right? To me, this feels a little bit like, oh, shit, the Warriors are bored for like a lot of the regular season. Jordan Poole has to play defense. And if he plays defense, they get him out of here. I just think I'm really excited for this series, and point blank, because De'Aaron Fox deserves this. Like, this is a second-team All-Pro, third-team All-Pro season that just kind of got swept under the rug, right? Like the Beam and Sabonis and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, that guy is over there killing people right now. And now he's got all the eyes in the world on him. He's a big-time player, big-time moment guy. It's just he's going up against all-time greats. And, like, Golden State's, I don't think they're going to win the title this year. I think that that's a little bit far-fetched to where people are going. But they damn sure could beat the Sacramento Kings, man. And it's been a fun story for the Kings, but, like, they're a happy to be here team too. Like, they're here with the Nets. It's a little bit different expectation-wise because they're the 3 seed, but I just don't see a world. Like, it'd be awesome. It'd be sweet if the Kings went in here and ran them out. I just don't see we don't live in that timeline, I don't think.
Yeah, I remember when people were like, what? They traded Tyrese Halliburton for Sabonis? So stupid. The Kings are. It turns out it was a great trade for both teams. Like, get me wrong, I like Tyrese Halliburton, but people were acting like he was Michael Jordan.
Or like prime Chris Paul. It was like, dude, that's 20 and 10 every night. What are you talking about? It's like, dude, he doesn't even average 20 and 10. What are you talking about?
And Sabonis, what we know, it literally averages a double-double. Like, people are trying to act like he's a bad player. The dude's averaged like points and 7 rebounds against the Warriors this season. He's gonna have a good series. But I'm with you, man. It's gonna be hard for them to beat the Warriors. They're gonna be focused. Andrew Wiggins is back. I think he's gonna be rusty, but with the experience that the Warriors have, I think it's going to be enough to get them to the next round. It's not like we're prophesizing anything. I feel like the majority of people in the world have that opinion as well. As we take a look at this series price, you have the Golden State Warriors minus 275 to advance, the Sacramento Kings plus 225 to advance. On the game spread, the Warriors minus 1.5. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that price at minus 150. The Kings plus 1.5 at plus 122. My gosh. I mean, Tyson, we just kind of went on that little rant about the Grizzlies and the interesting price here. I can't believe we're getting this and not insanely juiced up at the Warriors minus 1.5 games in the series. I'm
No,
taking that every day.
these are stinky. Like, I just think that these lines right here were just like, hey man, we got to do something to get somebody to play the other side of this because this is bad. I mean, eh, Golden State, if this is a 7-game series, I'll be surprised. Let's just put it that way. Like, if the Kings are able to push this to 7 games, I'll be uh, not shocked, but whatever the closest thing to that is. So I think Golden State minus 1.5. But maybe they just don't win on the road, right? And maybe the Kings are coming out of here. Shout out to Sacramento Kings, man. Incredible, incredible season. Great storylines all the way across. It just sometimes, right? Like what would they have had to do here? Let's see. If they lost 3 more games, they're playing the Clippers, and you like their chances way better, right? Or if
Oh yeah.
they win 3 more games, they're playing the Lakers, and you like their chances way better. This is just the way the chips fell, and sometimes that's the way it works.
And as bad as the Warriors were on the road this year, they did beat the Kings in Sacramento one time this season. The Kings are
Like
1-3 against the Warriors in the regular season. It's just, I think this is going to be a tough one for them. Now, that was one of the last games, that was 7 days ago that they played. So it's like, how focused were they? I mean, they scored 97 points. The Warriors are fighting for their playoffs lives. So maybe you take that one with a grain of salt, but still, I mean, anytime the Warriors went on the road, it was a big story this season just because of how bad they were. That's our Western Conference preview, Tyson. Let's take a look at some of the games that we have coming up here on Saturday as we start to get into the playoffs. Some interesting prices for sure when you take a look at it. As I'll pull it up here for the Facebook, or I'm for the Facebook, for the YouTube watchers here as we have FanDuel Sportsbook up. Let me start this way. Like, what are you expecting from like these opening round games? Like, do you expect the favorites just to boom, come out and punch them in the mouth? Like, do you expect to kind of like a feel out process, or how do you expect this to play out?
There almost always is a little bit of a feel out, right? There'll be a couple games throughout the first round where somebody jumps on somebody else and it's over by halftime because that's the way the NBA works. And sometimes shots just go in. Like, these are all the best shot makers in the world, and sometimes you got 5 guys who just refuse to miss, and things are wrapped quick. But I just think all these matchups are, we got a lot of stylistic stuff that's going to kind of take shape over the course of 5, 6, 7 games rather than like we know right away. I know right away the Philadelphia 76ers have matchup advantages everywhere, right? I know right away that the Celtics have matchup advantages pretty much everywhere. Everybody else I got to watch, man. Like, what if Kawhi Leonard is like the Kawhi Leonard again? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Phoenix is in for, like, Kevin Durant can't get loose. This is going to be interesting. One bet, Brad, that I like a ton for the Saturday games. Golden State Warriors to trail by 10 plus points and win the game is plus 550.
Wow.
I think that that is one that I am confident in playing. I like. Would it shock you if Golden State was down 14 at half and then they're leading going into the fourth quarter? Because to me, that's just kind of the way they play basketball.
That is a bet. How about that, Tyson? Go digging deep for that. That's a crazy one. Tyson always brings the exotic stuff here. I love it. One I'm playing here, and maybe this is a sucker bet. I'm not quite sure. The over 230.5 in the Hawks Celtics game seems like something that I'm definitely going to be playing. I think the Celtics can pick apart that defense. Atlanta offensively has been much better since Snyder's come over. Just like a different mindset on how they want to run the offense, running it through Trae Young, then having DeJounte Murray attack. So I think there's going to be points in this game. I know we think of the Celtics as a really good defensive team. That hasn't been the case like late down the stretch in this season. I think they regressed a bit. So I'm going to take the over in that game. Any other games that you're looking at here? There's 4 on the slate.
Well, something that kind of popped out at me a little bit while I was going through, Brad. Joel Embiid points plus rebounds over under is set at 45.5. I'm taking the over 45.5 at minus 118. I said it. Like, this better be a 30-14 or 35-12 series for Joel Embiid. And I think you got to start early, right? Like, I'm not shocked if Joel Embiid scores 46 points and this over hits on his points, right? Maybe that's an angle. Maybe you just go strictly to the points. Who's out rebounding him on the Brooklyn Nets? Got to be locked in, though. I think this is a slate full of live bet opportunities. And unfortunately, it's kind of hard to give those out in the moment. And one thing to kind of throw at you before the playoffs start here is this is the highest average in the NBA points per game wise, like ever. And so when you see 230 and you're like, Jesus Christ, just remember that like these are teams that are scoring 120 points a pop.
Yeah, I have nothing else. I think this is when I'm going to really start diving into player props for myself. It's hard during the regular season. I know people make a living out of it. You know, the pros or people who love that in the NBA. You know, that's their angle. That's not mine. Analyzing regular season player props. Playoffs is different. The starters are going to play more. The stars are going to play more. We actually know the motivation. We know the minutes and the rotations and things like that gets smaller. So that makes me want to attack things. So I love that Joel Embiid points and rebounds play. I'm going to tail that, Tyson. I'm definitely tailing that with you. But that'll be something that all these plays can be found in our chalkboard app, which Tyson will tell you about now.
Yeah, it's like Brad said, it's an app. It's on the App Store. It's on Google Play or wherever you download your apps. The app is called Chalkboard. Our group name in there is the Roundtable. It's Brad and I and a couple other people. We're trying to build a little bit of community. I think there's a handful of people in there now who are posting their picks, right? And that's fun. Like that's what we want. Is it shouldn't just be us saying, "Hey, this is what I'm playing today." We want everybody in there because win together, lose together, right? That's kind of the goal. And we have. Max Holloway is fighting this weekend in the UFC. That will be a fun fight card in there. We have NFL draft stuff coming up. And if you were in there a while ago, you already had your Bryce Young ticket. So when Mort broke the news that you think he's going number one, we're sitting here with plus 360 tickets. Everyone else is scrambling, trying to log on to place their bets. NBA stuff. We just ran through the entirety of the NCAA tournament. NHL stuff. Brad's throwing soccer picks in there left and right. We have MLB stuff. Whatever you can think of, like we're in it, like we're trying to make money with it, and you know we lose sometimes, and that's just the way of the road. But it's way more fun to win with friends than it is to win alone.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely. And in the meantime, like, subscribe, and share the show. Like it really helps us out if you're watching this and you like it. To be subscribed so you don't miss anything, but help us out. You know, if you're listening to us on podcast form, give us a rate it. You know, that really helps us climb and more people can discover us. And if you're on YouTube, just smash the like button. Like that really helps us out. And so we'd appreciate if you share it with your friends too. You're like, hey, this is some interesting stuff I haven't heard before, or, you know, you should hear what they say, or you're just like, these guys suck. You know, you can say it to your friends too. Like, we don't mind it. We don't mind it. But we really appreciate you guys watching and listening. Like that means a lot to us. Stay connected with us too as well. Like follow us on our social media pages. Our Twitter's at @TRT_pod. You can follow us on our Instagram and TikTok. It is @ the Roundtable Pod _ for both. So, Tyson, we will be back next week. We have a ton to cover for the listeners out there. NBA stuff again as we get ramped up for the playoffs. NFL draft stuff is continuing. We got our last draft dive before we get ready for the NFL draft, which is going to be just great. And anything else that comes, Buda Baker just requested a trade over in the NFL. So we got off-season office, and if anything comes through on that front, we have you covered with our opinions. So until then, guys, enjoy your weekend. We will talk to y'all soon. Peace.